And then I said to my doctor, God, I know I need an enema. Oh, it's recording. So sorry.
You're using that gut cleanse.
Oh, the thing from TikTok? That shit makes you shit.
So I will say, we're probably within like the next 2 months gonna buy that damn crisscross chair. It looks so comfy.
I literally please buy it
so
and then
fucking comfy.
let me know how it is and then send one to me. Anyways.
My birthday's coming, just,
My birthday's in a couple weeks. Oh my God, my birthday's in a couple weeks. Okay. Anything you want to say to our audience?
Hi, audience. It's us again.
Hey, guys. Raise your hand if you were here last week. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Let's see. Do we have anything before I start?
Maybe
hope you guys are prepared. I love bursting bubbles. So if you are a heavy believer in Amityville, I hope you're prepared.
Hope you're prepared. Also, I would like to say, when you do the intro, I have something to say. After you do the intro, I have one thing to add about a Smart Friend episode I posted that no one's caught the joke on.
Okay, sounds good. I saw you say that in there too. I was like,
motherfuckers, 2 jokes went right over your head. Anyways.
All right. So this podcast is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find all sorts of exciting podcasts like ours. You can check them out in the show notes. Make sure you give them some follows, some reviews. Check them out on Instagram. And with that being said, this is the Paranormal Misfits podcast, where the curious roam, the weird feels at home, and horror is just another day in the office. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Chrissy.
And y'all already know who it is. No, I'm kidding. Why did I do that?
Nino Daniel.
DJ, drop the beat. No, I'm kidding. Hey, everyone. It's Nino. Jesus. Everyone, it's Nino Daniel, your other co-host. We want to remind everyone to definitely review those show notes. Give us a 5-star review and a follow or a subscription. I don't know why that took a buffer minute. My mind was on Internet Explorer for a second. But yeah, give us a 5-star review and subscribe and follow us wherever you can, specifically on podcasting sites, YouTubes and Instagrams and TikToks, and follow us home. Don't do that.
No, please don't.
But also, if you click on the show notes, there's going to be something there that talks about buying merchandise. If you want to, you don't have to, but it really just helps. So do it. One thing I was going to... Don't feel like you have to, but just know that you are helping 2 very, very
ADHD
besties just get through their day. I made a Smart Friend where I talk about Smart Friend in a horror movie with a pick me. There was 2 jokes in there people glazed over.
I'm sorry, I was more stuck on the or because I love that.
Oh yeah, the or, yeah, but when I talk about you need to get prepped, much like New York City Pride, you need to get prepped.
You're still over my head.
So PrEP is an oral medication that supports HIV testing and all that. There's a whole thing on it, but basically it helps you. It's supports you having safe sex. Otherwise, you get the double entendre of getting fucked.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Okay. Wow. All right. I described that terribly. It's 8:10 in the fucking morning. All right, guys. It is July 13th. You're listening to this probably at the end of July, maybe sometime in August. I don't know, babes. No, this is gonna come out. Yeah, this comes out in August. Oh wow. Mm-hmm. And I'm still in Bosnia. Hey, future self. Dealing with spooky stuff. Hey, future self. I hope that you're doing a great job connecting with your family and connecting with God and Allah and getting in touch with your masculine divine. And I hope that you're doing so well with your mental health and your body and you're getting yourself back together. I love you so much. Last week I gave a shout out to my friend Quinn. Today we're gonna give a shout out to, of course, Desi. And you're still wearing her shirt. What does it say again? Remind us.
It says Dead Queen.
Dead Queen. Does dead because it's does it mean anything?
Yeah, so it's Desi's. Oh my God, she's gonna kill me. Yes. All right. Desi's extremely abnormal discoveries.
Desi's extremely abnormal discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Which is
paranormal unknown.
What's the thing where you have? Is it an acronym? Is that the word? DEAD is an acronym for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say something else. I was going to be like, is DEAD a hyperbole? But do you know how hard the English language is? I'm going to ask my cousins. I'm probably talking to my cousins right now. I'm like, how hard is the English language? Anyways, shout out to Desi. Shout out to La Rones. Love you girls so much, besties. I want to give a shout out to, obviously, my husband. Yesterday was the 12th, and we celebrated 5 years of him having his photography business. I also want to give a shout out to my cat. Shout out to Binks.
Shout out to Banks.
Lovely little thing. Giving me so much love. Tell me a little bit about what I know we highlighted it last week. How many hearts are you going to break today?
They love Amityville and believe it was as haunted as that couple played it out to be.
This ain't it.
Mm-mm.
This ain't it.
This is
I hate to break it to you. This ain't it.
If you didn't, let's just put it this way. If you're also one of those really heavy Conjuring fans that are like, oh yeah, that was a witch and blah, blah, blah. Like same aspect, guys. Like you might as well just.
You guys, just
look for the movie reviews.
And if you hate what we're talking about so much and you're like, oh God, they're pissing me off from all this debunking, buy our merch and prove you're pissed. That's
challenge. Accept the challenge.
Anyone gonna accept the challenge? Oh my God. Okay, go ahead, friend.
Okay, so if you are following through and listening after part one we covered the terrible massacre of the Defoe family at the hands of the oldest Defoe son, Ronald.
Any relation to Willem? Okay, curious.
And the alleged haunting of the Lutz family, who acquired the home a year fucking later.
13 months, actually.
Yes.
Shout out to the priest.
Shout out to the priest. Shout out to Hollywood and the fucking publishing company who couldn't keep the stories whatever straight.
They listen, one thing about, okay, same. I can barely keep my story straight. It's because I'm gay. It's because I married a man.
All right. I'm not prepared.
Wow, that long lingering sigh. Jesus. Wait, what are we getting into first?
We're getting into, so this first part, we're going to be going into the Hollywood version events. So the movies.
Tell me, which, both of them or just a specific one?
Just
the OG?
Pretty much both of them, because they both should have followed the same accounts.
Got it. Okay, tell me more.
All right. However, I'm a fan of the 2005 because, you know.
Ryan Reynolds is topless and he needs to do that more, and I'm a little jealous of Blake Lively. I'm going to put myself on mute and I'm going to take a little swig of water. Love you so much.
Okay. All right. So these accounts were literally spoken about, recorded, and then published into a book by September of the following year. I was wrong. They actually started this book a year later, and it probably went out 6 months later. So a year and a half.
Jesus.
Just do that. Okay. Following year, the family ran out of the home. With nothing
they
but
packed
clothes
their
on
shit
their
up and they went to the mother-in-law's house, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then apparently what you said was like the entity followed them?
Did. And the closing scene of the book is a greenish black slime coming up the stairs for them.
Honestly, it's probably early onset flubber.
I love that movie. Yeah. Okay. So the book was written by Jay Anson, where it was initially stated that while the couple and the author never worked directly together, the author wrote the book after listening to 45 hours worth of tape-recorded collections that the couple had shared.
So you're telling me they never met and you gonna write a book?
That's what's originally stated. Keep that in mind.
Lord in heaven.
So this book is what obviously gave way for the movies, right? Because you gotta have one before the other. Or maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whew, that was coffee. In total, there are 5 books after the first one. Okay, there's 5. Let's see. There are 5 more books published afterwards. Hans Holzer, and I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of the Holzer files.
Yeah, and for those who haven't, go ahead and refresh their memory. I
knew it. Hans Holzer was a famous parapsychologist who wrote various books on this topic. His were more of He didn't use their names per se, but he wrote around the subject of what they went through. All right, so the original book written by Jay Anson a year after they moved out of the house. The book was turned into a movie in 1979. There were two more.
That quickly? That Hollywood said back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yes, they did.
Got it.
There are 2 more movies made, and then let's not forget, there was a remake of 2005 with Ryan Reynolds being the angry lumberjack.
What? Listen, I am no different than any man who looks at women, but like Ryan Reynolds, muscular little like hunky ass and a lumberjack just does something to me. It fucking alters my brain chemistry.
So clearly, in the movie, mind you.
She said, moving the fuck on.
Before we get too far in a deep dive of our
Sorry. God.
Clearly, in the movie, it's more dramatized, as we have way more accounts of various paranormal happenings that we see on screen than the book. But again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know what they used from the book to the movie. There's not really anything that says. Some of the differences that we do see: the priest who performs the blessing is upstairs and swarmed by flies and hears a hostile voice at the same time. So remember, in the book, they say that the priest was upstairs giving his first flick of holy water and he heard a very low, demanding voice saying, "Get out." Nothing about flies. Nothing about hostile.
The voice is like, "Hey, could you get the fuck out?"
And the difference between also is that in the book, the family was at the home. They were moving stuff around, unpacking, right? In the book. In the movie, the family wasn't home at the time of the blessing, and the priest bolts out the fucking door.
Girl.
So, and then it's also into account the next day, Kathy has an aunt who is a nun, and she visits and then becomes violently ill.
Like projectile vomiting.
Like, vacates the house. She's ill. Kind of like how the priest, remember, like, they said he called Christmas time and was, like, trying to tell them.
Yeah, he called them, like, a fucking week later on Christmas and was like, "I hope you're enjoying those presents. By the way, there's a presence in your house."
Yes. Pretty much. Over the weeks, it said that George becomes very hostile.
Okay.
And abusive, and one scene that I remember from 2005 is Ryan Reynolds shirtless chopping wood.
Listen, there's a lot of... I need to go to like a hospital or something.
Oh my god.
I'm just bantering though. I have brain cells. Cool. I have 2 college fucking degrees.
We love jokes.
But also how many degrees warmer I get when Ryan Reynolds is around.
I mean, like...
Ryan Reynolds, if you're by chance listening to this, send pics or it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like,
buy our merch and
buy our merch and subscribe and give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
All right. So in the movie, it is said that George wakes up repeatedly at the same time every night, 3:15, which is the same time the Defoe family was killed. So we're not going to go into every little account in the movie, but let's just say Kathy does some research. I hate whenever they say someone does research.
Kathy did. What did she do? Go to a fucking almanac?
She went to the library. Does some research and finds one that the house was allegedly built on an ancient...
Nope, we're not going to say it.
Okay, cool. On an ancient Indian burial ground.
I think we could pronounce it as Shinnecock.
Yes.
And if we're mispronouncing that, that's not intentional.
No, it's the way
it's either... spelled. Yeah, it's literally Shinnecock. Shinnecock?
I think it's Shinny.
Okay.
And 2, that there was a man who was allegedly a satanic worshiper who lived on the land as well at some point.
Wow. Hey, wouldn't this be nice to be disclosed in the fucking, like, brokers open of this?
I mean, they disclosed the fucking murder.
Years later.
No, are you talking about price? Yeah, for the price. They disclosed that the murder happened.
Yeah, but like everything else. Why couldn't y'all just be like, this house is $80,000. It's built on ancient Indian burial grounds. There's a satanic person in here and there's a murder. The lowest we're gonna go is 71. I
don't think they knew. Or there's some debunking on that later. Debunks. George allegedly becomes possessed in the movie, tries to kill the fam, and after coming to his senses, as he's almost about to murder the children, I believe, in the basement. He comes to his senses, they hightail it out and never look back. So what do you remember from the movie?
I remember that, like, that third act when he's going, like, apeshit was, like, violent.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't there, like, didn't, like, the kids hide in the closet at some point and he found them there or something like that?
It's either the closet or he went down into the basement, because they also, I mean...
Me, personally, like, I would be so scared if Ryan Reynolds was chasing after me with a big axe. I'd be so scared. I would be mortified, though, if, like, a big hunky, muscular man with clear skin and nice jawline and a good beard. I mean, that's just Ryan Reynolds, but, like, real talk, if that shit was happening to me, you know how much... Listen, one thing about me, I love the pew-pews that I hold in my house. I just think it's... I think it's a little weird that, like, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
There is.
Even with what you're saying, and, like, when people say they do research, I'm like, with what? Like, how?
Yeah, right. It's that whole thing we talked about in The Conjuring and with the Island Boys.
I've stopped. Nope.
Is the... you said it. No. Bias.
Confirmation bias. Yeah, so people are essentially, like, going to go after research that confirms their thoughts or opinions.
Yeah.
And that's basically how they start smear campaigns.
Yes. So going back to the actual movie, I thought this was really interesting. There is a nonfiction book that Stephen King wrote in 1983 where he analyzes the Amityville Horror, identifying numerous metaphors regarding anxiety over home ownership and financial turmoil, citing the 1973 to 1975 recession and the energy crisis of the 1970s, interpreting the film as a kind of like the viewpoint on America's financial distress.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You like, amalgamating all that together. Amalgamating means blending. Putting all of that together in, like, a fucking blender and serving it as a smoothie. That makes sense. That makes more sense. Like, when you have
as
all
to
of
why
these,
they would, like, dip out as quickly as they
go
did.
fucking ape shit. Yeah, if you're worried about money in the 70s, and, like, didn't the Great Depression end, like, 30-40 years prior to that?
Well, and if you also remember in the movie, whenever they're talking, when the Lutzes are talking over the house, right? Like, oh, this is too good to be true. Like, what's the issue with it? This is way out of our price range, kind of thing. Yeah. Like, yeah, they might have bought something that put them over their budget a little bit. And I want to say, was it he was the only... I think he owned a business. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'll leave it at yeah. We're gonna come back to a continuation of part 2's part 2. But before we do that, though, before we give you a word from our You Run Podcast Network, make sure to give them a follow too. But while you're here, thanks for being here, bestie. Feel free to give us a 5-star review on whatever podcasting platform is available to you. Give us a follow as well throughout our social media accounts. And of course, click the description link in the bio. Feel free to buy our merch, please. That would be so helpful, but we understand if you can't, you can send the link to someone and be like, hey, this is going to be a good Christmas present. Yeah. So we will be right back in just like a minute or so.
That's right.
What's up, cool kids? This is Tasha here with my trusty sidekick, Journey the Horror Dog, who will inevitably whine in the background of every single episode of our new podcast, The Ghoulish Gallery. I'm just here to give you an idea of what's coming up. Each week, I'm going to have a guest on to give us the scoop on their local lore, urban legends, cryptids or monsters, creepy places, all that good stuff that we love. Fortunately for all of us, there are a whole lot of badass horror people out there willing to educate us on the spooks and other things lurking in the dark in their neck of the woods. If you're interested in being a guest, hit me up on Twitter at TMR_8706 or Ghoulish Gal Pod. It's going to be Ghoulish, GALPOD. I'll be happy to put you on the list. Hit me up.
Now, just as a reminder, this is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find other awesome and amazing podcasts just like this. And also, Ghoulish Gallery is currently on a season break and will return within due time. Make sure you check out her other episodes on Spotify, Apple, and all other sorts of streaming platforms. All right. Okay. All right. So we just covered Hollywood's version, right? We have the controversies and the debunking now, which is my favorite part.
I love debunking stuff, okay?
I love debunking shit. All right. So it is said that the actual priest who done the blessing of the home swore in an affidavit during a lawsuit, and there were multiple lawsuits regarding this haunting.
Against the family, the house, or the priest?
So I think against of a few different entities. So like the Lutzes filed a lawsuit against like publishing companies, and then like it was just a bunch of stuff.
And did the publishing companies take it upon themselves to start writing these stories, or were like the Lutzes like involved?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so y'all want to check.
Or they would do like how we're doing, right? Where it's kind of like matter of opinions. This is what we found. This is what we think. God. This is what we heard. This is what we interpret. Okay. All right. So the actual priest who had done the blessing of the home swore in an affidavit during a lawsuit in the late 70s that he had only been in contact with the Lutzes via telephone. He did describe his accounts of his experience while blessing the home, apparently later on. Then he changes again that he said that he was in their home. Describes his accounts of his experience while blessing the home that he felt slapped by an invisible force and told to get out by an unknown voice.
You'll find it.
I know. There was a couple who bought the home in 1977 and stated there were no physical damages to the doors, locks, and windows, which was something that the Lutzes said happened during these hauntings. And side note, that they got to buy this home for $55,000.
A price reduction.
Yes. Which then kind of, if you think about it, when I was talking about Stephen King's interpretation, right? The Lutzes then sold the house for cheaper just to get out of it. So
they were still in the red.
They were still in the red, but they were out. So
honestly, same.
Yeah.
Me talking to my closet.
Okay, so if we should know anything, it's okay.
We try really hard, guys. We really do try really hard to stay on task, and then it's mostly my fault.
It's not. It's mine too, because I'm just waiting to see. So we should know anything by now. It's not, if we should know anything by now, it's not to claim that negativity in your home is due to the paranormal and also due to being on an ancient Indian burial ground or that you had a satanic worshiper that lived on the grounds.
That whole fucking thing. Wait, pause for a second. Did you see that photo? I saw this on a meme website, but it came out to be true. There is a vineyard in Italy where the vineyard is built on what used to be like an ancient, like Roman.
Like Greek or Roman?
Yeah, but like it was built on like ancient, like Greek or Roman architecture.
Yes.
Like they dug like 6-7 feet into the ground and they're like, oh, these are tiles. So like any real estate broker friends of ours, please let us know like what you have to disclose if a home is haunted.
So I don't think they have to.
No,
if a murder happens, yes.
If a murder, that's what I'm saying is if a murder happened or like what the home is built on.
okay. I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm kind of saying. Like,
yeah. So I forgot to mention this in the first part of this episode, but with her research stated that the ancient Indian burial grounds that the house was built on, that burial grounds was used for the mentally ill and dying, that basically the Native Americans abandoned.
This is fact?
No, it was never fact, because the Native American group that they claimed were a part of this ancient burial ground clearly stated that, one, they rejected it, but two, that they weren't even in that area. Like, even tracing back that far, that Indian...
the location, like the geolocation of the house doesn't add up to the actuality of where that, like, Native American site was.
Well, where Native Americans were living.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Okay. 2 more researchers really dove deep, and I appreciate this. Because there was a claim, I don't know if it's in the movie or if it's in the book or if it's in both, but apparently there was snow that fell in January and they saw cloven hoof prints in the snow that they couldn't account for, the Lutzes. So do you remember?
For those of us who sit in the back of geology, what is a cloven hoof print?
Think of, like, the devil.
No.
You know how, like, they
I actually don't like to think about that. No, that's crazy.
No, in the movie, though, like, you know how, like, they kind of give him, like, the lower half of a goat?
Almost like Krampus claws kind of thing. Got it.
So apparently that
got it. Okay.
There you go. So we had 2 researchers who really dove deep into this claim and stated that the cloven hoof prints found in the snow in January couldn't have happened, as the different various reports that they looked into, there was no snow falling at that time.
Bitch.
In both the film and the book, it was stated that the police were called multiple times to the home, but there were never any reports found to back up these claims. In 1977, the Lutzes go to sue the defense attorney of Ronald Defoe, another writer who was working on the accounts of the hauntings, 2 clairvoyants who had examined the home, and a few publishing companies. They claimed the misappropriation of names for trade purposes, invasion of privacy, and mental distress. By 1979, the case was dismissed in total, as the writer, his last name was Weber, claimed that he and the Lutzes created the horror story over many bottles of wine.
Isn't that
and then Anson ultimately wrote the book because, you know, they were recording to get the recollections.
I'm not one to, like, isn't that, like, has to do something with intellectual property? Because your ideas are intellectual property.
Right.
But, like,
well, you got to think about it. I don't think contracts were as good as they are now.
No, contracts now are iron fucking clad.
Because remember, I highlighted about the Warrens and each family that they ultimately said would get thousands and thousands of dollars and be financially stable if they let them publish the book and all that crap. Let's see. So I thought this was really interesting. There is a fact that the Lutzes took a polygraph test relating to the experiences, and it comes out that there was no indication of lying, and they used 2 to 5 of the top, I guess, interpreters in the United States of polygraphs.
No indication of lying.
But we do know that if you tell yourself over and over and over again, eventually your brain will believe what you are telling yourself repeatedly is true.
And your brain will see, your eyes will manifest that.
So that's still up there.
Okay.
The Lutzes go to sue the defense attorney, Ronald Defoe. Let's see, where did that come into play? So, that's what it was. Defoe, actually, the lawyer of Defoe wanted to reach out to Hans Holzer, who I had mentioned, was it this episode? Last episode?
Last episode.
The parapsychologist who had written a roundabout books about this alleged haunting. And he wanted to use Hans Holzer as a means of defense to try and get Defoe out.
Like disbarred?
Like Defoe out of prison. Not disbarred, out of prison. To kind of substantiate the claims of insanity. If we can get a parapsychologist in to back the claims that he was possessed by blah, blah, blah.
Then he can get out of jail. Because he was sentenced to like literally 150 to life.
Yes. Yes.
I said disbarred to the guy who had no things about being a lawyer. I'm sorry.
The judge was pissed, and he was like, at no point should a lawyer be like acting like a writer, I guess. Kind of thing. Like stepping over the boundary of what his actual job description is. If we think about it. All right, so various owners have lived in this home over the years, and the only complaint to ever come was never of the paranormal, but people who are enamored with the book and or wanting to see the home. So
the movie as well, too, right?
To see the house that was alleged of all this crazy shit.
Something to add to that is like there's obviously the homes from very famous movie locations still standing. The owners of the Hocus Pocus house where the family lived, that house is still standing.
Yep.
And they're now okay with like people. They're like, people just want to take a picture in the front. That's all they want. They don't care who's inside. They, and also same thing with
the mansion in New Orleans for the
Coven, yeah. And also with the fictional town of Astoria Park for the Goonies. Like those homes are still there, and like that library is still there. That police station's still there, but it's a museum now. So yeah, like I get that. Like trust me, I get it because I would want to do it.
Yeah, but as a homeowner, like I would get kind of tired. Like, hey, these people are out in my yard again.
I would never step foot into someone's yard. I would probably be like across the street, and then
kind of like how people are doing now for the Hocus Pocus house.
Yeah, like you have to be across the street. You get 1 or 2 pics, and then you're done. You're out.
Okay, yeah, I can respect
because I'm not on anyone's yard. I'm on a sidewalk, which is public property.
Right. Now, I wouldn't take a picture if like the homeowner was out, like in their yard. I would
respect people's privacy.
Yes. Let's see. So we have my least favorite paranormal couple. The Warrens.
I wonder. Damn it! Fucking shit! I was gonna get a picture. Damn it!
Who allegedly came to the house.
Eat ass.
And conducted an investigation right after the Lutzes skedaddled.
So the Lutzes leave. The second family leaves.
The Lutzes leave right after.
And Ed and Lorraine are like, well, we should probably go investigate and make a book or a movie or something.
This is actually one of the pictures they take at this house is what put them on the map. All right. So after they skedaddle, their accounts are that Ed was physically pushed to the ground and Lorraine felt a deep sense of something demonic.
Girl, bye.
Hello, Zach Bagans, and all of his love to call everything demonic now. Like, it's a
Zach
trend.
Bagans. I feel like we have a certain opinion of him on this show.
Oh, we do. We do. It's not a positive one, but you know.
Listen, I don't know who Zach Bagans is too much, but all I know is whatever Chrissy thinks, I'm backing it up because that's what friends do.
Ghost Adventures. Have you watched them?
No, since you said he's Zach, so I didn't. I'm not giving him any clout.
It's funny. I was telling this to my manager. It's funny how you watch the progression because they're like, God, like almost 30 seasons deep in Ghost Adventures. They have a lot. And you watch the progression of when it went from we're just looking for paranormal to prove it to, oh, this house is haunted. Like with a demonic presence. I was possessed by a demonic presence. I have a demonic, like, it's insane how much everything they find has a demonic presence.
These demons are like, put us on a contract too, pay us money.
Right?
At this point.
All right. So Lorraine felt a deep sense of something demonic, which she always does. And in the home, and was overcome with graphic images of the Defoe family bodies laying on the floor, which doesn't make any sense because they were dead in their beds. They also captured what was called a demon child in a photo. The Warrens swore this was one of the most haunted locations they had ever been to, but then they also said that about 5 other fucking areas too.
This is the scariest place we've ever been to. Part 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like,
I mean, come on now.
Jesus.
All right. So they were even consultants for Amityville 2, the movie. Yes.
Oh my God, these people love making money.
In 1982. Just to let you know, that's when the second one came out with the Warrens telling them. So with this one, though, it's a prequel.
The first one was 79, right?
Yep, Amityville 2, which came out in 1982, was the prequel to the Defoe murders. Now, I haven't watched it. I don't know what kind of prequel
Are we gonna?
bullshit.
Probably not.
No, no. We're good. We're solid. I can imagine it's probably going to go down that whole ancient burial ground bullshit, and then it's also going to go into the satanic worshiper, which, I mean, you at this point, you're pulling out of fucking thin air. You're just making shit up to make it right. Okay. So this, like I said, this was the haunting that really put them on the map. They were not the only paranormal investigators to have monetized off of this alleged haunting. Hans Holzer, and if you don't know, there is a show that is based off his research called The Holzer Files, and I actually have a very large book of his, because why not? It's called Ghosts, True Encounters from the World Beyond. I also got it for like $5, so I was like, okay, cool.
Hans is doing real well.
Well, he's already passed away.
Oh, rest in peace. Hope you crossed over okay.
He did the same thing. So he was investigating the paranormal. He would bring in a psychic or a medium, depending on what you want to call them, with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And have the medium tell him, what is she feeling? What is she seeing? What is she sensing? Kind of like how Lorraine does. So, yes, he reportedly investigated within the same month. So 2 paranormal investigation teams investigated this house within a month of the Lutz's leaving. Like, and that's what made me mad. I couldn't find like newspaper clippings or something that would really flag this for like people to be like, hey, did you know this house was haunted? Did you hear about this family that ran out? Like, I'm confused. Confused.
It's giving death.
So Hans and a spiritual medium had entered the home, and upon entering, the medium claimed this house was built on an ancient burial ground, and a very angry Native American spirit of Chief Rolling Thunder had possessed Ronald Defoe the night his family was murdered. That is why the lawyer of Ronald Defoe wanted to contact Hans Holzer and have him basically try and help Ronald Defoe get out of prison.
Oh, because that's where the insanity plea comes in. Wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, it wasn't the one set of Native Americans that they tried to claim had lived on that land. It was a different set. So, like, them saying, it was this Native American tribe. Like, it didn't match. Not at all. Not at all. And not to mention, there's no burial grounds in the area.
Getting suspicious.
So, with the what's it called? The photograph that the Warrens took. I don't have it in the notes, but this is a fun fact. So it was March 6th. So they waited a couple months, unless they went back again, which there's no telling because I got really different accounts everywhere. Together with a crew from a TV station.
Oh, wonderful.
Channel 5 New York, and a reporter, Michael Linder of WNEW-FM. During the course of the investigation, Gene Campbell took a series of infrared time-lapse photographs. So if you don't know what infrared is, that's where they usually kind of like, it's like the red of your...
Yeah, like how much of your photo is...
So one of the images allegedly show a demonic boy with glowing eyes who is standing at the foot of the staircase. The photograph did not emerge to the public until 1979, when George and Kathy Lutz and Rod Steiger appeared on the Merv Griffin Show to promote the release of the first film. So then we have Hans Holzer. Holzer and the Warrens both suggest the house was occupied by malevolent spirits due to its history. And the Warrens visit the house again they showed the Warrens visiting the house again in The Conjuring 2, which was the 2016 film. George Lutz actually registered the phrase Amityville Horror as a trademark in 2002. He also had a website.
Fun. What did he sell? Merchandise? Buy ours.
Didn't look. Lutz claimed that the film producers embellished or fabricated events that were portrayed in the 1979 version and the 2005. He also claimed the producers of the 2005 film did not involve his family and that they used his name without his permission. If you're remaking a film, though, don't you only have to do the film? Like legality.
You bring up a good point.
Like, I'm wondering.
If you do...
Right, so the Lutzes had already given their okay for the 1979 film. That's what I just read. They were on press tour for it. Right? They were promoting the 1979 film. Now, why does the family have to be involved again for a remake of the same exact movie if the studio already owns the rights to that script? Right? Isn't that how that works?
Yeah. There could be, I mean, you got to also remember, like, the rights may be to, like, the intellectual property, the script, obviously, but there could be renegotiations involved. There could be them saying we have more information or we know more of this. Like, it could have been a multitude of things.
So, not to mention, if you put loosely based around true events, I mean, you can fabricate as much as you want.
Sounds like the fucking guy who wrote the first Strangers.
Yeah.
Not Strangers Chapter 1, the Liv Tyler version.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. Let's see. As of May 2010, the house was placed on the market for an asking price of $1.15 million. In August of 2010, the house sold to a local resident for $950,000. And also, the house was built in 1924.
100 years ago, the house was built. 100 years ago today. Haven't y'all thought about tearing it down? Isn't it updated, though? Isn't it different now?
I think it still has its, like, really well-known... Because apparently one thing about the house was the roof was, like... And I think they tried to keep that. I do also want to add that the Lutzes actually divorced in the late 90s.
The money ran out.
Maybe. There is also... Sorry, this one's funny. I'm sorry. During the period in which the Lutz family was living at the Ocean Avenue home, Stephen Kaplan, a self-styled vampirologist and ghost hunter, was called to investigate the home. Kaplan and the Lutzes had a falling out after Kaplan clearly stated that he would expose any fraud that was found out. Kaplan went on to write a critical book titled The Amityville Horror Conspiracy with his wife. The book was published in 1995.
Full of debunkings, I'm sure.
Full of debunking.
I heard that was my knee.
I did hear that.
Damn, this might be picking up fucking audio.
There you go. That's the Amityville. What do you think? What do you got?
I think...
What you want to give me?
Well, the truth. How about the truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like, how do people get off and just lying like that?
I mean,
like...
look at the timeline.
Look at the timeline. Like, I almost feel like... Did the first family die?
The Defoe family? Yes.
Can I ask this question?
Go ahead.
Was it in fact the bodies of the family?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
His friend went in and...
Identified? Like, nothing happened to their faces? Like, their faces weren't bludgeoned?
I don't think so.
The only reason I ask that, it sure would be convenient if the original bodies were staged, faces bludgeoned, and you could deem them unidentified.
He shot them.
Or, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, like... I do. But it would be kind of hard to do that to the faces, considering they're all, like, base. I don't know. I like your thinking, though.
I don't know, just the thought. I'm like, how much of this is, like...
fabricated?
How much of this is, like, actually real?
No, the Defoe murders were real.
Okay, so...
The Lutz's accounts of the hauntings and paranormal activity and what they experienced... You can't... Diluted. I mean... Unless you get to hear, I would love, because the Warrens did this too. They recorded with the families, right? To be able to write the books. They recorded...
The Warrens recorded with the Lutzes?
No, the Warrens recorded with the like, all the ones associated with The Conjuring. Like, they always recorded the conversations. And when you listen and watch The Devil Made Me Do It, the documentary that's on Netflix about the family that the whole case of The Devil Made Me Do It murder happened, they're kind of feeding, right? So the little boy who was supposedly possessed, they're feeding. Are you yelling out profanity? Like, does your stomach hurt? Do you feel an uncontrollable rate? Like, they're feeding.
That's motivational interviewing.
So what's not to say? That's why I would love to hear the 45 hours of the recordings between the guy who worked for the publishing company that Jay Anson worked for and ended up writing the book for, because he's the ultimate author, right? Because he listened to the 45 hours that Weber and the Lutzes spoke to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of it was the interviewing process of like, so you're saying this, or do you mean this? And how much of it will you hear slurred speech if they really recorded over multiple bottles of wine?
Night. I was gonna say, yeah. Girl, I be speaking. I don't get drunk because I don't drink alcohol, but like, I be doing some gardening, if you know what I mean. But even in those moments, like you can't make things out clearly. It's like when your bestie Zach Bagans goes and tries to listen to a spirit, like when they're asking a question, and you don't know what the fuck that spirit is saying.
No,
you have no fucking clue
because
it's all fucking up for interpretation. I don't know. I'm not saying, like, again, I'm not saying that the paranormal is, or like being possessed is fake. There's a whole Vatican thing about that. But like, that's what I feel.
I mean, it doesn't even go back to the Vatican when you're technically talking about possessions, because think of the Greek, what was her name? Delphi? The seers, where there would be smoke all around them. And there's something that is, they said that like the smoke of the one who would give the accounts of like premonitions, she was in a particular area where like fumes were coming up, and those fumes could have altered her mental state.
Could have.
Probably did. But like, yeah, no, this fucking shit here.
I just hope that I have better luck bringing cultural shit back from Bosnia.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty.
Damn.
What's wrong?
Damn.
Damn. It's intense. And it's insane. It's insane because like the time, it's literally what blows my mind the most about this is timeline.
It's scattered.
You guys vacate the house.
It's quick and it's scattered.
You vacate the house, right? You buy the house a year after the murder. You vacate the house.
Problem number fucking 1.
Less than 2 months after buying.
They barely got into the new year. They said, fuck Christmas.
And then by March, we have paranormal investigations happening. And then by September, we have a book deal. And
the following year, we have movie,
which then also with the books and the movies, there's 5 more books, and with the movies, there's 3 total for sequence and 1 for a remake, so 4.
3 total for got it,
because there's Amityville 1, 2, 3.
Wasn't there a TV show as well?
Was there? They did a lot of different, like, I think History Channel did like a whole 2-parter.
Wasn't there I'm almost positive there was an how do you spell Amityville?
Amityville.
Amityville: An Origin Story TV miniseries 2023.
So yeah, I mean, it's because people still believe, and it still pays.
Sure, yeah, like confirmation bias when done correctly, it can be lucrative. See footnotes for Ed and Lorraine Warren. I don't know. To me, it just pisses me off because there are actual cases of this shit that happen that probably get overlooked because they're not as like superfluated with just embellished details. Like, now listen, I'm going to use like a $20 word, okay?
Okay, go for it.
I don't mind when certain parts of a story get festooned with embellishments.
Yep.
Doesn't festoon and embellish mean the same thing? Keep talking.
I mean, so like, I'm going to say this. I don't mind if, like, especially for movie making, if you want to heighten your audience's sense of dread. To decorate. Heighten your audience sense of dread. And you really want to get, like, that adrenaline pumping, because that's what horror movies do.
That's their selling point.
Yeah. But I'm pissed because we stand on ground of, like, this is what happened. And it's like, there's no way. Like, people just
gun to your head. Can you prove that happened? Gun to your head. Can you prove that happened? Type shit.
You had snowfall, and then come to find out, researchers do like fucking research and
topography report
and tell you it didn't snow. So how could you have seen hoof prints in snow when there was nothing there?
Because in here makes this work differently.
Yeah. So.
Jesus.
I don't know. I agree with Stephen King's interpretation of the movies.
Say, yeah.
Like, it really, like, talking about it and then thinking about it, and now, like, yeah, I see it. And think about it. Like, they're swearing up and down they had that much haunted activity. They didn't even live in it for 2 whole months. You had the Conjuring house, where that family lived in that house for 10 years with a demonic force. Like, I don't know. Both bought houses where they sunk their savings.
Financial dread is a real fucking thing.
Yes, it is. Stress will do some crazy shit to your body. So,
that's all I've got for you.
Once again, I am not saying it's not haunted. I just don't think it's demonically haunted.
It could be haunted, but it doesn't have to be fucking.
Yeah. Yes. I do think whenever they're talking about, oh, he slowly got hostile and violent, like I said, stress changes your body, it changes your chemistry, and put under enough stress, you'll
do anything.
So,
by the majority of people, like, the majority of, like, bank robbing and kidnapping and all of that stuff has to do with financial stress. If you really look at, like, people are like, oh, I'm robbing a bank because I need money. Oh, I stole your kid, but I want the reward.
Yeah.
I don't promote, none of us, Paranormal Misfits podcast does not promote criminal activity. But looking at TV shows and looking at, like, why people do certain things, financial stress is a big thing. Yeah. And if you're spending money like that in that time period where the minimum wage was $2 you're going to be a little stressed.
Yeah. Yes.
You're going to be a little stressed in a time where the tuition to go to Harvard was $569 and the average yearly income for a family was like $3,000.
Yeah. So, ta-da! Amityville. If I burst your bubble.
That's on Amityville.
If I burst your bubble, I don't apologize.
We don't. Like, we're not going to sit here and fucking tell you shit that...
I would hope you, once again, as I always say with these different hauntings and stuff, do your own research.
Please.
But please look at all research, not just a particular
movie
narrative.
and a book that is intended to make money off of sales. Okay?
So.
Okay.
All right, Fran.
Well, I'll be back from Bosnia next week. In the future.
In the future.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Big thanks to Chrissy for including me into the Paranormal Misfits podcast family. Shout out to Desi. Shout out to La Llorona. Shout out to my husband. Shout out to Binks. Oh, and also, if you're going to go spread misinformation out there about hauntings, I'm going to say anything else. Hey, guess what? Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like, follow, give a 5-star review. Click the description link and buy our merch. Shout out to You Run Podcast Network for having us on their network. And I think that's it. Yeah. I'm really not going to actually physically see you until August. Like on a virtual setting. I know I'm seeing you now and the episode comes out in 3 weeks. Yeah. Right after we do our episode in August, I may or may not be visiting my friends at Sanctum of Horror.
Ooh, can't wait to hear about that.
Okay, well,
all right.
Listen, folks. Now listen here real good. Okay? We know you don't have to leave, but since you do have to go, you might as well creep out. Bye.
Bye. That was